The hotel cancellation email arrived at 2:17 a.m. Her birthday trip, non-refundable, canceled by me. I stared at the screen, blue light cutting across the dark bedroom. She slept on the far edge of the mattress, turned away, phone face down like a secret she didn't trust herself with anymore. Roommates. That was the word she used. Flat, surgical, like a diagnosis. "We're just roommates now," she'd said earlier that week, standing in the kitchen with a mug she didn't drink from. No anger, no tears, just distance, as if intimacy had expired and no one bothered to renew it. I listened to her breathing, counted it. In, out. I felt nothing on my face. Everything stayed inside. The trip was my last indulgence, one more attempt at pretending we still existed. Canceling it felt correct. When the confirmation finished loading, I locked my phone and placed it on the nightstand between us, a neutral zone, like the space that had grown in our bed. She shifted, her eyes opened. "What are you doing up?" she asked. "Couldn't sleep." She nodded, already done with the conversation. Her expression didn't change when she saw the email glow reflected faintly on my face, but something flickered, a fracture. I rolled onto my side, facing the wall. Roommates don't owe each other explanations. The word echoed in my head for days. Roommates. No affection, no dates, no warmth. She moved through the apartment like a guest who'd overstayed but refused to leave. Polite, distant, efficient. I noticed the small things first, the phone always on silent, the new passcode, the way she smiled at messages and forgot to hide it. I told myself stories to survive. She's stressed, she's tired, this is a phase. But my body knew before my mind accepted it. The cold settled in my chest like a truth waiting for permission. She stopped asking where I was going, stopped caring when I came home late, stopped touching me entirely. Roommates. One night she laughed softly at her phone, a sound I hadn't earned in months. "Who's that?" I asked. She didn't look up. "A friend." I nodded. Inside something aligned, like gears finally catching. I wasn't angry, not yet. Anger is loud. This was quiet. I began to understand that I was no longer competing with time or exhaustion. I was competing with someone who didn't exist in my life, only in hers. And the worst part? She'd already left. She just hadn't moved out. I became observant, clinical. I watched patterns form where excuses used to live. She worked late on Tuesdays, always Tuesdays. Her location conveniently unavailable, her car smelling like a different air when she came home. I never raised my voice, never accused. Roommates don't fight. Instead, I collected silence, screenshots, receipts she didn't think to delete, a hotel charge disguised as a conference rate, messages archived, not erased, sloppy confidence. I sat at the kitchen table at night, scrolling through phone records like I was studying a language I suddenly spoke fluently. One number repeated itself, over and over. I memorized it. I learned his name without trying, learned his schedule, learned that he was married too. That detail almost made me laugh. At dinner she talked about neutral things, weather, groceries, nothing. I nodded at the right moments, passed the salt, cleaned my plate. Inside I was building a map. Every betrayal leaves coordinates. She didn't notice when I stopped reaching for her, didn't notice when I stopped asking. She only noticed when the birthday trip disappeared. "Why was the hotel canceled?" she asked, finally. I looked at her. Roommates don't celebrate birthdays together. "I didn't think it mattered," I said. Her jaw tightened. Still no apology. The proof arrived on a Thursday, printed, neat, undeniable. I laid it on the table between us that night. No drama, no build-up, just paper. She froze when she saw it. The color drained from her face like someone pulled a plug. Phone records, hotel confirmations, a timeline that told our story better than either of us ever had. She didn't cry at first. She just stared at me like I'd stepped out of a shadow she forgot existed. "How long?" I asked. a question I already knew the answer to. Her lips parted, closed, opened again. I didn't mean for it to... I raised a hand. Roommates don't console each other. The silence stretched until it hurt her more than it hurt me. I felt alone, she whispered. I nodded. So had I. The difference was, I stayed. I didn't yell, didn't threaten. I simply changed the rules. I withdrew everything she'd taken for granted. Shared accounts closed, trips canceled, futures erased. I moved into the spare room without announcement, labeled my shelves, drew boundaries with tape and calm. She watched it happen like someone witnessing a controlled demolition. "You're being cruel," she said once. "No," I replied, "I'm being accurate." I told her I'd already spoken to a lawyer, that her affair partner's spouse had received an envelope that morning. I watched realization crush her posture. The affair had thrived in secrecy. I removed the dark. Roommates don't protect each other. The apartment feels quieter now, not empty, clear. She moves carefully around me, like I'm a memory she doesn't want to trigger. There's fear in her eyes where certainty used to be. I feel nothing when I look at her. That's how I know it's over. Not rage, not grief, control. She wanted to be roommates, so I treated her like one. And when I finally walked out, keys on the counter, I didn't look back. Roommates don't owe each other goodbye.